Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Adam Baum. I'm a sports writer at the Cincinnati Enquirer. I actually cover Xavier basketball, and that's a big reason why I'm here tonight. The other reason that I'm here tonight is because there's something very important that we want to dive into and learn more about. And this is Behind the Jersey. It's a conversation with 1 in 5. If you're watching and you have questions throughout the course of this, at the end of the conversation, we'll select up to 3 and we'll see if we can get some of our special guests to answer those for you. But I'm joined by a very special guest here. This is Nancy Miller. She's the founder and executive director of 1 in 5. And I'd love to give it over to her. She can explain who she is, what 1 in 5 is, why it's important, and ultimately why we're here tonight.
Thank you, Adam. I'm glad we're here tonight. As I said, I'm Nancy Miller, and I'm the executive director of 1 in 5. 1 in 5 is a local nonprofit. I started the organization in 2010 after losing my husband to suicide. He actually worked at Xavier. He ran the Gallagher Student Center. He had a very big personality. He was loud and goofy, and we really knew nothing about mental illness at that point. So I spent about 2 years just educating myself about what I had missed and what was going on in that space. What became very apparent is that mental illness starts very early. We talk a lot about the fact by the age of 14, 50% of mental illness is surfaced. By the age of 24, 75% has surfaced. And today it takes 8 to 10 years to get service. So how do we get ahead of that? How do we educate people so they know what they're looking at, they know signs and symptoms? And then more importantly, how do they know how to take care of themselves? So we do work with about 125 schools in Cincinnati. We work with students, staff, and parents to do that education. And then we also do a lot of community work. Last year, we did over 250 talks out in the community to educate people about how to take care of themselves and what are signs and symptoms and how to get somebody into resources. We've been working with 6 universities in Cincinnati for the last probably 8 years. And I really think that's a very important space. I'm glad that we're here today. I'm glad we're having that conversation here because we know at the collegiate level that there are a lot of transitions. People, when they transition from high school to college, there's a lot of pressure. They've lost their support system. They are in a totally different environment. They have to make new friends. The pressure increases. And so a lot of times we see mental illness surface at that point. And so I think that having this conversation with all different audiences and having the conversation that is real and transparent and people are talking about how they take care of themselves, when they feel pressure, what do they do? And really just normalizing that conversation as much as we possibly can. So I'm going to turn it back to Adam, and he's gonna talk to the players.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Nancy. Yes, so we have 3 very special guests. I'd like to welcome them up here right now, and we're going to learn more about them. And we're going to talk to them about some of the finer things that go into being a Division I college athlete. Gentlemen, how are we? You guys want to go down the line here, introduce yourselves, let our viewers know where you're from.
I'm Jerome Hunter from Columbus, Ohio. I'm a senior. My major is liberal arts.
I'm Desmond Floyd. I'm from Weaver, Connecticut. I'm a freshman. I'm Cam Craft. I'm a freshman from Chicago, Illinois. Right now, my major is business on the side. So,
And all 3 of these guys are Xavier Musketeers. They play on the number 16 team in the country. They're currently 20-8. They're 12-5 in the Big East Conference. They're well positioned to get back to the NCAA tournament this year. They've had a really great year. But right off the bat, I want to talk to you guys about something that Nancy mentioned, and that was the transition period. Jerome, you're an older guy. You've been in college a lot longer than these 2 guys who are freshmen. Your situation is a little different than theirs. You joined Xavier from Indiana. Des and Cam, you guys both just graduated from high school. You leave home for the first time. You're taking college courses. You're playing college basketball on a national stage with a ton of expectations. How do each of you manage transitions like that, those phases in your life?
I just think it comes down to your family. The whole time we're in, like, I'll say, like high school, knowing we're going Division I, we're knowing like all the pressures, things that people are telling us that comes with it. So the more we know about it, it's the more we're like we're getting prepared for it. So like for me personally, me coming to Xavier, me being a transfer from Indiana, like I didn't feel like it was a lot of pressure because coming from Indiana was like that was like a big school and Xavier is a big school too. So I just feel like it was like the same kind of pressure. But me coming into Indiana was like I said, just knowing what everybody told me about how college was going to be, but in all reality, it was way different than what I expected.
It was a big transition for me, being, 12 hours away. But I think it, growing up wrong, family, having a good support system, checking in on you, coming up to visit, calling them, every day, if not every day, every other day. And then, making new friends and stuff out here to make yourself feel comfortable.
Me coming out of high school, I feel like my experience might have been a little bit different because for my first 3 years of high school, I went to a public school in Chicago suburbs. Then my senior year, I actually transferred to a prep school in Atlanta. So that was my first time ever moving away from home, was my senior year of high school. So that little like gap year was kind of like a college adjustment of being away from home, living like more of a college schedule. But then when I got to Xavier, it's like it's a whole new start. I've been here since the summer, like basically just living on your own, having your own apartment and stuff. It's a big adjustment. You just have to grow up, make sure you stay close with your family, keep a positive mindset, and have a good support system around.
Yeah, in any sort of transitionary phase, your life in general, in a college basketball season, there's peaks and valleys. There's ups and downs. There's things that you have to get through and sort of navigate. Who do you turn to in those moments when maybe you're stuck in a little bit of a peak or a valley? Who sort of are the people that you go to in your lives to help you get through those things?
For me, I'll say the first person I'll say is like God. I'm a very religious guy, so when it comes to stuff like that, I pray a lot. But then I'll say like my mom. Then I have a trainer back at home, this is Andreas. He just been around basketball for a long time, and he's the one that's like gotten to this point. So him knowing like the ins and outs of college basketball, because he was like a head basketball coach too. He really supports me with everything I do, even during my ups and downs.
I would say my mom and dad, I'm real close with them. They're more like my support system. And they played D1, so pretty much everything that I went through or going through or will go through, they pretty much all been through. So I think going to them and asking questions or just going to get advice was like really good, and that's what I go to. My highs and lows.
Yeah, to speed off what Des said, I think my family comes first. I talk to my mom and dad almost every day, every other day. They were both college athletes, so they understand what it's like to be away from home. But I also think that like we all can rely on each other as like teammates and coaches, because we build like a system of where we can trust everybody. So if you need anything, you can go to anyone on the team, coaches or players. There's a lot of resources that we got.
And you talk about like a valley at the moment, and really I could ask each one of you guys about this, but Cammy just went through a pretty serious injury, and you can't play right now. And that's something that I'm sure is always hard to deal with, but how is that something that maybe you've learned to navigate or try to get through?
Yeah, I've gotten hurt a couple of times in my career. I haven't got hurt since high school though. Freshman year in high school was my last serious injury. So, and it was at the end after the season was over. This is like my first time dealing with a kind of a serious injury in season, and it's definitely frustrating when it happens. But like you just have to keep a positive mindset and realize that it's not going to last forever. That like doing rehab, staying in the training rooms, come back better than you were before.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about like the pressure of the season, the pressure of a role to produce on a team when at every home game you play, there's 10,000 people out there there's way more than that watching every game that you play on national TV. How do you handle the pressure of all that? And then to add on to it, the pressure of finals when you're in school, or, you know, maybe a goal that you have for yourself? What are the keys to handling that pressure?
I'll say like the finals and things like that, like school wise. I just feel like that's just separate. Like it's just basketball, and then there's school, and then like once you get your school over with, it's basketball. So I'll just say like coming into college, like I didn't realize how big like fans were. Like fans have a voice, and like coming into college, I had got like a lot of followers, fans, and they all wanted to like, was all hyped for me to come. And then I remember my first bad game, I look and I see all that, and I'm like, dang. And then it's like, then I start putting a lot of pressure on myself, like I gotta play good next game, or the fans are gonna be talking bad about me, or I gotta play good next game, so I could just have everybody just stop talking, just because it was just like, it was so much pressure on me just to perform so well every game that everything else just didn't matter. Like school didn't matter. It was just me playing good.
Coach, how does pressure sort of affect you?
I think it could be a little hectic at times, you know, especially on the court with fans. Nice arena, you know, it's packed, you know, it's yelling, screaming. You get a little, you know, butterflies in your stomach. But I think the best way to go about it is, you know, stay calm, you know, be confident and know that, you know, all the work you put in is gonna pay off eventually. And, don't let all the negativity get to your head. You know, it's already hard enough at a level, especially when you're adjusting. So I would say the pressure started off, you know, real high a little bit, but, you know, more confident and work I put in, you know, everything, you know, just started to pay off and just dying down a little bit. But then for school, I would just say, you know, come up with the plan and then try to execute the plan. You know, it could get a little rough, you know, hectic at times, you know, a lot of work, you know, this and that, you know, do the travel a lot, but you just gotta stick with it. And you know, the teachers are there to help you a lot, you know, academic advisors, and they're willing to be, you know, flexible.
Jerome, honestly, like, you could be, you know, the poster boy for dealing with pressure this year, honestly, because these two guys weren't here last year. I was here, and I've asked you about this after games. I've written stories about it. I think you would be the first one to tell people that you didn't have the year that you wanted to have last year, and you heard about it. You know, there were games when fans let you know, and this year it's been a complete 180. And you get a lot of credit for that. Now you're getting standing ovations and cheers every single time you make a play. Talk about like that transition for you of getting through the negative stuff that happened last year and coming out the other side of it. How does one do that?
I mean, it's hard. I mean, last year, like that really was like, I never experienced like people just really just not like me just because of the way I was playing. But they didn't really understand my situation. It was just a lot of things into it. But it came down to like my support group. Like they all stayed with me, like, and everybody I felt like gave up on me, like I still have my support group backing me up. So just working harder, just trying to work harder than everybody else, just so I wouldn't be in a position like I was in last year. Because last year just I got to a point where I just gave up. I just didn't care how people thought about me. I didn't care how I played, if I played good, if I played bad. Like it was just like, who cares at that point? So at this point, it's just my mind is stronger, my support group is stronger, and just how much work I put in is just a testament to what I've been shown.
How does it feel to be on the other side of that?
I mean, it feels good now. I mean, it feels good to prove everybody wrong.
Cam, how do you recognize maybe when you're down or you're stuck in a little bit of a rut, and how do you sort of process that and what are the ways that you move through that?
Yeah, so there's definitely days where you're up, there's days where you're down. Like with the long season, the preseason being here during the summer, and then just like the season kicking in. There's times when you're just gonna be down on yourself and like you just have to rely on never being too high, never being too low, and just being consistent. You gotta show up every day with the same mindset to get better. So like even when you're like everyone that's just going into, you're gonna have down days and you're gonna have up days, but you kind of have to find that middle ground where you just tune everything else out and just focus on getting better.
Are there things that you can do maybe that have nothing to do with basketball that can help you through those moments? Maybe it's like, something that's special to you just to sort of think about something else, maybe.
Yeah, I would say if I was giving advice to someone else, or even just from my personal experiences, when you're that down on yourself, you just have to like stop thinking about it completely, even though that might be hard to do. Just get away from basketball completely, whether that's through your family or your friends, or doing something that you like to do, like a hobby or something. But sometimes you just have to tune basketball out, to get over like 'cause it'll drive you crazy. That's all you think about.
Des, what's been the high point and the low point so far this season for you?
I think a high point, just the season that we're having.
Yeah.
Being a freshman and going into a season like this where we're winning games, we had a few tough losses, but we played hard and I would just say like my high point was, the season we're having, we're winning and we're doing, special things that, arguably we wasn't, doing, for a few years now. So my low point was just, last week, being in the hospital and not being able to be around my teammates, not being playing in a couple of games, just being away from them, just like, took a little piece out of me just because I'm always around them, always doing stuff together, having fun, going through tough lessons together, going through good wins together. So I would say that's fun.
I think like everyone in their life, no matter what they do, no matter whether they play a sport or not, you have to sort of deal with disappointment and things happen to you. In your guys' case, that's a real thing away from basketball, but it's also a very obvious thing in basketball. You're disappointed, like last night, you lose a game at home to Villanova. How do you deal with disappointment? How do you get through those little moments?
We just, we got a very good coach. Our coach just, he comes from a winning background. He's a winning coach, so he just always tells us to stick together. We're having a good season. He always tells us to look at like the reality of the situation. Like that's one game. We got another game coming up. We're a good team this year. We made it far. We won a lot of games. So it's like we can't focus on what happened. We got to focus on what we got coming up because it's still long season left. It's still a lot of big games that we can win. We can still be in the same position that we were in last time.
Yes. What do you do to maybe give your mind a break? When you don't have your drum set. Des is a world-class drummer, by the way. People know that.
Although, I played basketball a lot and playing my whole life, it's basically just a sport. You can't really get too caught up in it because it causes a lot of other problems. But me, I find other fun things to do, whether that's hanging out. I like to watch a lot of movies and TV shows, just, generally. But, maybe going for a walk to clear your mind and just to work, talk to people about other things and hang out and just, try to get away from it. Really helps me.
Yeah. What sorts of movies? What are you into?
A lot of action movies, adventure movies, you just sprinkle a little comedy in there. A little bit of horror movies, but not too much. I like auditioning, genres of movies. So
Yeah, they can be a good distraction.
yeah.
Cam, what's the experience in your life when it comes to maybe how you build resilience And what does that sort of mean to you, and how do you use that in your life?
Yeah, resiliency, that's a word that coach talks about a lot, being a resilient player. I just think it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, just having a consistent mindset that you're just, no matter what happens, you're just gonna like try your hardest, whether that's on the court, in the classroom, just like a combination of like time management, how you live your life, and making sure you make the right decisions to make you a resilient person, a resilient athlete. Just doing the right things every day. It's the small things that count.
Yeah, you guys have all talked about, a support system and how there are other people in your life who are a positive influence on you, and what that means to you. So Cam, how are you a positive influence on other people in your life?
I feel like that just like being a good teammate, being someone that you can talk to, like supporting my teammates, being a good person, bigger than just basketball.
What about you guys?
I'm always bringing, good vibes around. Always got a smile on my face, gotta make other people laugh and smile. I'm somebody that, people can come talk to, about, problems that they're comfortable sharing. Just always being encouraging, especially, I go, whether that's, basketball or anything. So, that's what I'd say. Well,
I say the same thing like that. It's just not being judgmental, just being somebody they can come to when they feeling down or feeling even happy about something. Just being somebody there for them, so they don't feel like they're alone. I just been through a lot, and I feel like I just know a lot. And me just being there for somebody, and just giving my thoughts about something that they're going through, I feel like I can help a lot.
I think for you guys, when maybe you have like a bad individual night, a bad performance, maybe it's not even limited to basketball. Maybe you do poorly in a class. I think there's a natural tendency for people to beat themselves up a little bit, to get down on themselves. What's your experience with that? And how do you sort of avoid that almost? Or is that maybe for you guys, that's partially a necessary thing to want to get better and elevate your game, but it seems like that's something that maybe you have to work your way through sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, everything's like a learning experience. You just go and learn from it, but you don't stick on it too much. There are moments where they individually like me or relate. It could be a bad night. I could do bad on the test, but I'll go back and watch the game film, or I'll go back on the test and see what I've done wrong, and try to get better and implement the next time. So the same thing, what I have to get to the best, that I can.
You guys have all talked about being a good team, and now like you're at the college level, the highest level, Division I. You're on a national stage. What does that really entail? Like, it's one thing to say, oh, I try to be a good teammate, or I want to be a good teammate. How do you actually do that?
I think it's just knowing what role you play. Like say being a good teammate is like you bringing energy to practice every day. As being a good teammate is just making sure everybody's okay that day. It's different ways that we can like explain being a good teammate, just because there's different ways we can impact others individually. And so us just showing that we care, showing that we're ready, showing that we want to win games is just being a good teammate.
What about you?
Well, I was gonna mention that like once a week, we do this thing called PGD. And it's where we all get together with some of the, like, we have Ryan Anderson and Cam Miller,
Is that player growth?
development, yeah. And it's run by guys, they're not assistant coaches, but they're still on staff, like a video coordinator and director of recruiting. They're younger guys, so like it's kind of like a session where we all can get together and talk about, like, it can be like mental health issues, it can be how we're gonna win the next game. But how we close every one of those sessions is by telling each other, like, and we stand in a circle and we tell each other like what we're gonna bring to practice or what we're gonna bring to the game in a positive way. That's how we handle each of those sessions.
Yeah, what's that experience like, be a part of?
You know, it's amazing. You know, it shows that, you know, everybody's there for each other, you know, comfortable with each other. We got more comfortable throughout the year, like we wasn't, like there will be moments where like at the beginning of the season, like people want to speak up during, you know, PGD and stuff, and now it's like we're all able to have a conversation, you know, laugh about certain things, you know, be vulnerable at certain moments. So, I mean, it helped a lot. You know, it's a good thing to.
Do you think that that's like, a strong, you know, bonding experience for a team to like see other people your age who maybe can be vulnerable in a setting like that?
Oh, definitely. You know, it brings everybody closer, you know, because it shows how comfortable they are with us and how comfortable we are with them. So, and then, you know, it leads to on the court, you know, we, you know, come closer together. And then, you know, we play together and, you know, I think we're you know, we average a lot of assists in the game. So
Most in the country.
yeah, and most of the country, right? So, you know, it builds more trust.
Yeah. You know, you guys heard how Nancy started the show and you know why we're here. What does reducing the stigma around mental health mean to you guys?
I just feel like mental health is a real, like, it could be a real thing for some people just because, like, especially being at like a Division I level, or just being like, period, it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of things that stress you out. It's a lot of things that like make you overwhelmed, and sometimes you just don't have the outlet to like deal with it. Some people just don't have like a support group like we have or things like that. So us just
The reducing the
Oh,
stigma around.
yeah, so us sitting right here talking about it is like, I feel like is a big reason, like, I mean, it's like a way we can help reduce it because they've seen us talk about it and seeing how real it is. And things that we go through, like daily, just every day.
Yeah, I feel like people don't realize or might like misunderstand that athletes are humans too, and that like it's even at Division I level, all athletes, pro athletes, they have mental health issues too. And so they're like, when people see athletes speak up about a topic like mental health, they might make them more adaptable to speaking about it themselves. So I think it's a really serious issue that a lot of people are just scared to talk about because they feel like it might be judged. So you just have to be open-minded and realize that you're not the only concern.
I think it, you know, it means a lot. I mean, you never really know what the person's going through. They could always put on, you know, a joke, and, you know, a face on, but you know, deep down, you don't know, you know, what they're going through. Going back on Rome, like they may not have a support system like we do, and you know, sometimes you know, people that may go through it think they, you know, that they're supposed to be tough and you know, strong-minded, but you know, that's not always the case, and you know, that really it hurts more than it helps people when they do that. So, you know, sitting here, you know, speaking up about it, you know, trying to help people, you know, go through and stuff, you know, just means a lot. Reducing it definitely.
Yeah. I think, you know, one of the things that I have to remind myself of is, you know, I cover you guys. It's my job to be real when you don't play well, when you lose. You know, I have to report those things. And, you know, sometimes I have to remind myself that, you know, when I was your age and I made mistakes, no one was writing stories about it. And no one was questioning me and asking publicly what happened and what was I thinking. So I think it's important for people to realize that, you know, you guys have to deal with this in a very public way. And in a sense, you signed up for it, but it's a real thing that you have to deal with in addition to trying to go out there and win college basketball games. Do you feel like you have a greater almost appreciation for that where you are now in your life, that there is kind of that pressure and that there are a lot of eyeballs on you, a lot of people with expectations?
I'll say sometimes, like now that I'm older and been through it a lot of years, it's like sometimes because I can put a lot of pressure on myself. Like if I'm playing good and I have a bad game, I can put a lot of pressure on myself like that to play good. And it's just like, that's just pressure. I just stress pressure. I just don't need for that for just any time. And I just feel like that just holds me back sometimes just because I'm just thinking about that all the time.
I would say, I would also agree with him, but sometimes, it's good that, there's eyes on you, this and that, but, we're all human and we're not perfect, so there are some mistakes. And that, times where they, the audience says certain things, and this and that, it's just like, mind boggling, it just bothers you. Yeah. So, I would say sometimes it's good, but the other times it's not. Sometimes it's almost like it's just like not needed. Yeah. But then I also ask pressure to like you got it perfect. But there are other times where it feels good when the spotlight is.
Sometimes I would imagine, you have to shut off social media a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It can be unhelpful noise there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's weird to see like your name just pop up on random Twitter feeds. It's like something that, I mean, it's part of it though. There's positives. I mean, when you play well, the press will hype you up, but if you play bad, it's just part of it that the fans are gonna hate on you and say, I don't even know anything.
Are impressed. We are at this very kind of critical point in the season. And I know that this is like the really fun point, but this is also when it kind of gets real to a certain degree. What are you most looking forward to about March, and how has the season leading up to now really prepared you for what's to come?
Well, me being in college for so long, I've never been played in March ever. Well, except the last year for the NIT tournament, but really being in March Madness and setting ourselves up in a good spot in March Madness. I just feel like that's just a great accomplishment just to even play in something like that, just because, like you said, it's gonna be a lot of lights, a lot of people watching on us, and we're gonna want to play good. And I feel like this time, like in like March Madness, I feel like people go through the most stresses because like you want to make it far, you want to do good, you want to make it far, and you want to win. And so.
Yeah, so sort of what you're looking forward to about March. This is and how the season has sort of prepared you for what's going to come.
Yeah, and I feel like we've been through a lot of different scenarios that we're gonna face in March. That's all gonna come together, and we've been through everything, so we just can't make little mistakes we're making like now in March, and just build off everything that we did.
Yeah, I think just the whole experience, as a freshman, being part of a winning team, a winning organization, and just the experience being there, never being there, never even went to go watch games there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think the season definitely prepared us to go far. Obviously we all want to win. Yeah. But from losing tough games to learning from it and doing better and executing throughout the season and getting better at pretty much everything. And then just winning. Winning is a big part of things, and I think that's one thing that we're doing good at and we'll continue to do.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the Big East tournament. Playing in Madison Square Garden, I haven't experienced that yet. And obviously just being part of March Madness, that's like a dream every little kid has, playing March Madness, and hopefully about coming off an injury, I can be back and be ready to go by then. But yeah, just having an opportunity to play in these big time venues, big time events is what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I know Xavier Nation hopes that you can be back. You guys need some more bodies right now. Yeah, we've got some good questions from the people watching here. So What's your favorite thing about the city of Cincinnati so far?
Favorite thing is I'll say this year I'll say the fans. We got a great fan base. Every game they come out loud and ready to go, and I just feel like that makes me play even better.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say the fans, it's just amazing playing here, the atmosphere is, really fun. And then, people out, that's out and about, they know you and, they support you, they just give nothing but positive energy. It feels really good. Yeah.
I can say multiple things. Obviously, the fan base we have is really good. I think it's one of the best in the country. We got the Bengals. Got Joe Burrow. Yeah. But I've lived in Chicago. I lived in Atlanta last year. There's so much traffic there. There's actually like no traffic there, so it's wonderful. It's amazing.
You want to
actually
keep
get
it that way.
You gotta get there.
None of you said Skyline Chili.
Definitely.
What's the most memorable moment from your high school career?
For me, I'll say, when I dropped 48 points, in a triple overtime game, and we won the game. So,
Who'd you beat?
Dublin Jerome.
All right, that's kind of weird.
Okay.
I can predict that. Yeah, yeah, last year, I went to a prep school called Baum Science Academy, shout out to them, but we went 38-0, undefeated. We won our conference championship and the national championship. And the national championship also got MVP of the tournament and the game. So that was just a fun experience, with the guys and then seeing everybody, pretty much the team that was in that year go D1. It was just an amazing experience. We're the, pretty much the best team at Science Academy right now. It was just amazing and traveling and still having contact with the guys to this day is really nice.
I'll say mine was probably the Jordan Brand Classic. That was cool to be part of. And my other one, we at my prep school in Atlanta, we went to Spain for a tournament, but then we also played in Paris too. So that was cool. That was a cool experience.
Jeez. You're more well-traveled than I am.
Yeah, we went to Mexico, Spain, and France all in the same season. So
In high school.
it was crazy.
One item on your bucket list.
But this, go skydiving.
I was gonna say that.
Yes, I
couldn't do that.
Jeez. I went on the roller coasters at King Island. It's the same thing.
No, it's not.
Like the jump ride. Remember?
Yeah, but it's like, no, it's not the same thing. It's,
I want to go.
and I don't want my bucket list. And it's not much.
There's gotta be something.
I don't know. Go say something else.
I don't know. I said just skydiving. I was just gonna say.
I don't know. Well, it's not an item, but just traveling. I've never been outside the United States, so traveling will be like a big thing on my bucket list that I want to do.
Right.
Yeah, and I will go that summer, but yeah, and it's something that I really want to.
Yeah. We'll spread those travel. All right. Who's the most serious on the team? And who's the funniest?
And most serious as players, or are we talking about?
Listen, Jim.
And I think we can include the coaches.
I'll say the most serious coach.
Coach Bowman, my boy.
The funniest, I'll say Cesar.
I would say between you.
Yeah, between you and
It's
Spain.
between Jerome and Cesar. They're close.
Who's the toughest on the team?
I'll say myself.
I'm gonna go big home too.
Yeah.
Get out there and battle.
I would say we're all tough, but for Rome, the journey that he's been through and, just watching him, really means a lot, shows a lot. So I could go with him.
No one said Coach Kevler, so.
Oh, wow.
He might have.
Yeah.
Who's the smartest on the
Big nine.
Big guy.
Big nine, look, Bob, pretty smart.
Bob.
Yeah.
team? Jack's basically wrapping up his PhD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe's in my league.
Okay, who's the most athletic on the team?
Kiki.
It's like different type of, yeah, you got like the most balance.
Yeah.
Well, like Zach,
Zach.
Zach's like, he never gets tired.
Yeah, good time. That's what we do.
I would say between Kiki and Zach.
He got the most balance, Zach got like.
You know, what's wild is, Kiki has never done it in college.
Yeah.
Hope he can make it back. Favorite game this season?
I'll say UConn at home.
You kind of,
They would, on that little streak they had.
I would say UConn away.
You come on the road, it's crazy.
UConn away. Just because, it's a little personal for me. And, we won and, we all did a lot of good things and, played hard. But yeah, it was a little more personal and, I had a lot of people come out to support me. I would say
you guys haven't, still need to experience Seton Hall, that's on Friday. Providence is nuts.
now I went to the game last year when they played Providence at Providence.
Oh, when they turned on the sprinklers.
Yeah, that the atmosphere is crazy.
I was gonna ask, what's the most, the toughest place to play in the Big East?
I mean,
It was pretty
yeah,
good.
Creighton and UConn, I would say was pretty much the two toughest to play in. The crowd is, amazing. UConn, it was just loud. Like it was just loud. And there was a lot of stuff said, but we all pushed through and stuff.
Yes. Well, I think I speak for everyone for thanking you guys for being a part of this, and we want to thank Nancy and everyone at 1 and 5. And yeah, it was great getting to talk with you guys and sort of dive into some of the stuff that we don't ordinarily get to talk about in a normal basketball setting. So I wanted to thank you guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and good luck on Friday in New Jersey.
Thank you.